in the sun, maybe. I need you all to come out in front of me. Come on out. I am not going to shout over there. Although I can. But I got a whole weekend ahead of me. What is this weekend?
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day weekend, right? You see, I started hanging up bunting. I haven't finished yet. I got one more porch to do, right? From Memorial Day, derived from Decoration Day, right? See, all from Pennsylvania, right? We had a lot of Civil War soldiers that died, entire towns that were wiped out from soldiers that enlisted and did not return, right? So those at home had to mourn, right? And this time of year, what happens? What comes out of the ground? Beautiful flowers and plants, right? So they would decorate those graves, right? So Decoration Day would evolve to the last Monday of May, and we would honor and remember all of those that died from all the wars at this time. So that's what we're going to do all weekend, but you guys will be on your way tomorrow and the next day. And Monday, it'll probably rain a lot, but we're going to try to put up flags and do all that. Remember those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. But tonight, what we're going to do is we're going to change out our flag. So what Ranger Shannon and I just played was a very repetitive, monotonous piece of music, right? Over and over, right? It's kind of repetitive. It wasn't very entertaining, was it? Even though you clapped, right? Go ahead, admit it. Say it was boring, right? So that was drummer's call. It was a signal. In the War of 1812, at a garrison like Fort McHenry, right, you would have musicians that would play calls, signals, duties from sunrise to sunset, right? Reveille to tattoo. The musicians, we made a little more money in those days in 1814, right? Because I'm from 1814, right? Made a couple dollars more a month because we were musicians regulating the day. So we'd wake the soldiers up, tell them when to go to sleep, when to wake up, when to eat, all that stuff. But also marching music and then national airs. So for flag ceremonies, for parades and such, you would hear national airs. So hopefully we can play a national air tonight if I got enough Rangers to help. We could play a national air. So can anybody name what one? Like you guys over there? You. What's the national air? Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yes.
National anthem.
Beautiful. That's a national air. Good job. Let's give them a hand. Thank you. What is the national anthem?
Star Spangled Banner.
Star Spangled Banner, right? So by the American Civil War, after the Battle of Baltimore, you had in music manuals that Star Spangled Banner. But before that, during the Revolutionary War, you had the Yankee Doodle, right? And then along comes, by War of 1812, Hail Columbia. They would print in the newspapers, you would hear the roar of the drum and the screech of the fife playing such national airs as Yankee Doodle and Hail Columbia, right? So we play that here, we know. All right, so changing the flag, right? So this morning, Ranger Jeff put his finger in the air and he determined the wind, speed, right? And it was supposed to rain, wasn't it? But it didn't. It was supposed to rain all morning, so they don't know what they're doing with the weather. But we decide in the morning what size flag we're going to put up. So what we have up there now is a 10 by 14 size, 10 feet by 14 feet. Write this down, okay? Put it in your phone, because I'm going to ask you later. 10 by 14, 15 star, 15 stripe. Remember that. Right? 15 star, 15 stripe. So Major Armistead, commander of this fort, arrives here in 1813, and he had two flags commissioned to be made. A storm flag and a garrison flag. 15 stars and 15 stripes. The storm flag was about the size of the blue field of that big garrison flag that's in Washington today. Did you guys go to Washington?
No.
You never made it? I'm sorry. You got to go there sometime. And you can see that big 30 by 42 garrison flag on display at the American History Museum in Washington, Smithsonian, right? That exists, right? The storm flag, after the Battle of Baltimore, they brought that down. I don't know what happened to it, so if you find it, let us know. We're still looking for it, right? Can't find that. But there were two flags for $500 made by Mary Young Pickersgill, right? She was commissioned by Major Armistead and some others to make those two flags. Major Armistead wanted a flag so large that the British would have no difficulty seeing it from a distance. And that would be the case when the British hoist their sails and leave that river. And Francis Scott Key looks through his spyglass and he sees that big flag going up and writes about it, which becomes our national anthem, right? Okay, so we fly our flag here 24/7, 365 days out of the year. This is why we're going to change it tonight. So when the storms come in tonight, I don't have to worry about that flag being ruined or the pole breaking, right? So before we leave, Ranger Jeff has in his hand a 50-star 13-stripe flag. It's an all-weather flag, and what must happen if you fly a flag at night?
Lit up.
Must be illuminated, right? All right, we got the answer back there. Where are the lights?
On the ground.
Somewhere, right? They're on top of the sally port. That's the sally port, and there are solar panels with LED lights on top, and they will light up that flag at night. That 50-star 13-stripe flag. So it's illuminated. It's an all-weather flag. Check, we got that covered. Fort McHenry, it was required to fly a flag by presidential proclamation as a perpetual monument to patriotism, Harry S. Truman would state. 1948. There are other sites that are required to fly the flag 24/7. Can anybody else tell me? Where else? Question.
DC?
White House, D.C., right. So Washington Monument, the White House, the Capitol, Arlington, right? Other sites, the Flag House in Baltimore. Right? There are other sites, but this site is the first designated. Why? It's the birthplace of the national anthem, right? Right where you're standing was where those soldiers, after a 25-hour bombardment, raised that 30 by 42 garrison flag. They were the only thing standing in between the third largest city in the United States of 50,000 citizens. Those citizens were counting on the 1,000 defenders, those soldiers, sailors, and militia, to hold off the greatest navy in the world in 1814. The British, a few weeks prior, had burned Washington. You can see an orange glow in that direction. The defenders here, the commanders, knew the British were going to come here next. So what do? They planned the defense of Fort McHenry, right? They put cannons across the river, down the western flank, a 2-level water battery of naval guns that could fire solid iron shot 1.5 miles. But the British, after they burn Washington, they sail up the Chesapeake Bay, right? And then they turn into the Patapsco River, and Baltimore is ready, right? You have 4,000 British regulars unloaded at a place called North Point, kind of where that bridge was, right? On the left side. Those British regulars will start marching up the North Point Road. American militia will engage. They will shoot General Robert Ross, that British officer, off of his white horse, right? Colonel Arthur Brooks, second in command, will continue. The Maryland militia will go back to Hampstead Hill, where there were 15,000 American militia and cannon waiting for the British. Part of that defense right outside of Baltimore City. So, Colonel Arthur Brooks sends a note back. He wants support from the fleet. So the morning of September 13th, 1814, 5 bomb ships and a rocket ship come up towards the fort. And they will proceed to fire over 1,800 bombs and rockets, 13-inch, 200-pound exploding bombs like the one next to that powder magazine, right? They were timed and fused to explode over their destination. 1,800 bombs and rockets were fired at this fort. Only 4 were killed, 24 wounded. right? 2 on the water battery and 2 on Bastion 3 over there. By 7:30 a.m., there is dread silence. The British stopped September 14th, that morning, 1814. Francis Scott Key was being detained with the Royal Navy. He had secured the release of a prisoner outside of Washington on the Potomac at Chesapeake Bay. He's being detained, so he sails up with the British fleet, and he's out there, Francis Scott Key, watching and waiting to see what flag was flying. And by 9 a.m., September 14th, 1814, the morning gun was fired here at Fort McHenry. That large garrison flag raised, and that storm flag that flew through the night is lowered. Francis Scott Key pulls out his scope and he sees that big flag, and he was so inspired he pulls out an envelope. He will write what he saw, what that flag meant to him. But he asks you, "Oh, say does that Star Spangled Banner yet wave, or the land of the free and the home of the brave?" Question mark. In the first stanza, he sees that. He's asking you in his song, do you see that flag? In the second stanza, he confirms that. "'Tis the Star Spangled Banner, oh long may it wave, over the land of the free and the home of the brave!" Exclamation point. Right? He also writes, "The rockets went clear, the bombs bursting in air, and gave proof through the night that our flag was still there." Right? The rockets and the bombs were illuminating that flag throughout the night, but he couldn't tell what it was because the British flag is red, white, and blue, right? But that morning, 9 a.m., that flag goes up, and there is victory. The British hoist their sails, and they leave the Patapsco River. One British sailor would say he had never seen such a superb and splendid ensign above a battery. Even the British were impressed with that big flag, right? So Francis Scott Key, Colonel Skinner, and Dr. Beans are released. They go back into Baltimore. Francis Scott Key has a cup of tea and some biscuits, tightens up the defense of Fort McHenry, and you have the Star Spangled Banner printed in broadsides and newspapers spread throughout the country. A national air for many years. And after about World War I, right, we have a national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. It's official, right? So it's a story. Whatever that means to you, that flag, the community here in Baltimore came together in defense, right? Everybody, rich, poor, black, white, they came together and did that. So what we're going to do tonight is you're all going to help me catch this flag. We're going to fold it up, and then you come back tomorrow morning and we'll put it back up. And then tonight we're going to put up that flag. So all right, here we go.
No, that's not expensive.
And then you were yapping.
Yeah, not expensive. And that's old.
Your
Yeah.
dog.
Do we have any veterans in the crowd? Veterans?
Veteran right here.
Veterans. Raise the flag of Fort McHenry, sir. Sure. Come on around here, and you can get a couple of assistants. Go!
Yeah.
They don't need
Oh, so you're not supposed to look at that person down at all?
No, you can't. Not at all.
And you have
You're also
to.
not supposed to put the flag on apparel, or hang it. Apparel is still on. Or hang it with the stripes. Hang it down like that.
Straight down.
I cannot look up. I feel like I'm gonna fall.
Oh, she's holding it wrong. That girl's holding the flag wrong. Actually, it kind of does. If they were marching on.
Yeah, the smallest person.
Oh. Just wait, they're gonna screw up. Story of life. No.
Not yet.
Yeah, Mr. Williams.
Go, Mr. Williams.
I thought this was his head.
Look how happy he looks.
He's just standing there.
He's going to go out there too. Francis Scott Key, in a speech later on in life, would say, "Does not such a country or such defenders of a country deserve a song?" He had no idea that his words would become the official national anthem in 1931. Right? It wasn't around then, but it did. So, Ranger Shannon and I are going to play that piece of music that was played that morning when the morning gun was fired, that large flag was raised, and Yankee Doodle was played. No. Yeah. Come forth and grab an edge. How was that? All right, I'll be back 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Okay, bye. They're okay though. Right? All right, this is a Star Spangled You guys tired?
Yes.
You dragged all over the place today?
Yes.
Sorry. Star Spangled Banner, right? So during the American Revolution, how many stars and stripes were on the flag?
15.
13.
13, right?
13.
He knows. 13 stars, 13 stripes, right? 13 colonies, right? 1795 to 1818, this is how the flag's going to look. We're going to add 2 more states, not your state, Vermont and Kentucky, right? 13, 14, 15, 14, 15, right? And then after 1818, what happens is we go back to 13 stripes and then a star for each state. So after 1818, we got Louisiana, Ohio, and Tennessee came along in that period, but were never added. So then they're added, and then by American Civil War, you got 34, 35, World War I, World War II, 48. Today, 50 stars and 13 stripes. Right? So if we have a new state, right? If your town breaks off Pennsylvania and forms its own state, and we have to add a new star to that current flag, 51 stars and 13 stripes, guess where the first place that new flag will fly?
Here.
Here at Fort McHenry, July 4th after midnight, right? So, because this is a national monument and historic shrine, right? It's the only national park out of 428 parks that have that title. I think we have a couple more now. All right, you guys on that end, and that end, we're gonna fold this in half. Bring it over.
Bring it over. Catch corners.
Blue is on the bottom. Blue on the bottom. There you got it. Hold on to it. Good job. Yep. Make it nice and tight. Yeah, pull it tight. Nice job.
It's not ripping.
All right, again.
No. Now it's blue.
Okay. One more time. Okay, pull it tight. Now we're gonna do, on that end, you're gonna do a triangle. Alternating triangle. So you pull it towards you as you do it. Have you done this before?
Uh,
Yeah, try a couple times.
that was the bet.
Pull it towards you as you do it. I'm in no hurry. I got till 5 o'clock. Whoa, no.
You said
All
you were
right.
in a hurry.
Take your time.
In no hurry.
Make it tight.
Oh, sorry.
All right. So thank you all very much for visiting Fort McHenry tonight and being a part of the flag change. I hope you learned a lot. Come visit again. Great job. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.